You are now listening to the Gridiron Beat podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You guys are now listening to the Gridiron Beat podcast. My name is Tim Snowden. I'm here with my colleague. What's your name?
Ariel Mayoko.
And the day is... What day is it?
What is it? It's November 18th.
November 18th.
Time of this recording.
It's midnight. We are here in Ariel's basement.
This is my kitchen.
We're in Ariel's kitchen. And today we have two special guests with us. Go ahead and introduce them, Ariel.
Guys, we have the aforementioned special edition episode. We have with us owner, coach, and general managers of Gotham Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And number 2 in the league from Team Nightmare Claws,
Supposedly.
Benjamin Gutierrez.
Hello, guys.
This is a real treat right here.
Anyways, so what do we have lined up for our guest today, Ariel?
This is going to be kind of a little bit different episode. Usually we run through a lot of the previous week, but we're going to forgo that to get right in depth with our guests and just basically have a nice freestyle interview. We are fortunate enough to have both owners at the same time, and they're like family, really. I mean, they're pretty close. A lot of people think they don't like each other, but they're pretty close.
So we have the second ranked team in the South and then the number 1 ranked team in the West with us. Interesting.
How do we start this? I guess the first question I got to ask is, Gotham, are you scared for this matchup this week with Team Reyes?
Not really. His star player got him 42 points. My flex got me 22. I've been through worse. I think I beat... What was it? What's that team's name? Bear Islands when they were ahead of me by 30.
I mean, everyone's beat him this year, though, right?
That's the same thing with Rays. Everybody's beat them too, so I'm not worried at all.
I get they're 1 game behind you, though.
They're 2, actually.
Are they 2 games behind you?
Yeah.
That's very unprofessional.
Gotham, do you remember that one time that Reyes won the game with no quarterback? With just... Who did he win that game with? Just Antonio Brown and Gronk? Aren't you scared that can happen to you?
Not really. I mean, I have faith in my team. I mean, I watch my team, train them. We got this.
I guess I ask because it seems like the South, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Southern Division is like the key to everybody's playoff berth. Like, if you're the Bear Island Wildlings, you're watching the South carefully. If you're Team some big ass TDs, you're watching the South carefully. If you're in the East, Straight Grizz and your Shoezang of Team Shutdown, you're watching the South very carefully because you have
playoff implications
for 5 to 6 different teams, really. And so when I look at the South, I see a team in Las Vegas that on paper has what should be the best team in the division, but is only 1 game ahead of Gotham. So what's your feelings heading into the last 3 games of the year?
Right now, the only team I'm really worried about is probably Team Nightmare Claws. I mean, Las Vegas, I played against him, I think, week 2 or 3.
Didn't he beat you that week?
He did, but let me tell you, he was shaking because Kareem Hunt was like at 0 points all the way to like the 4th quarter. Of course, he pulls this bullshit that pisses me off. And of course, my players do bad because I'm watching them. But anywho, back to the South. If you look at his team, I mean, all I see is running backs. I mean, that's all I see. No deep aerial threats. By that I mean receivers. if you look at me, I have Jordan Reed coming back, Chris Hogan. They all should be back in time. And
aren't those guys both hurt? Aren't
like
they
I
made
said,
out of
they
glass?
should be coming
Aren't they
back
made
in
out of
time.
glass?
Through the season, yes, but when it gets real, like towards the playoffs, towards the end, they become solid, just like me.
Oh wow.
Next question, please.
I guess I'm gonna pivot to Team Nightmare Claus because he's essentially, basically looking past these 2 weeks with the assumption he's going to win, and gunning for that last week already, and he's giving you all the credit in the world by saying he is definitely looking at that matchup closely. So Nightmare Claus, I gotta say, I mean, first and foremost, kudos on a season so far.
Thank you.
But I gotta ask too, you're probably gonna win your division. It looks like the West is locked up. How do you think the playoffs are gonna go, and what does it look like as far as your seeding? If you're the number 2 seed, who do you think you see across in the bracket from you? Who do you think you're going to play first?
I don't really know. Maybe. Really? Probably. Big STDs.
You think teams and big STDs will be...
So let's clear this up. So the number
the
2
4th
seed is going to play the 4th seed?
Well,
how does can you explain the playoff picture?
The playoff brackets are going to be...
How does it work?
It's going to be as follows. It looks like FTP luck is almost all but guaranteed to be the number 1 seed.
Right.
So that's a first week bye.
It looks like Ben is going to be the number 2
I'm thinking
seed.
Benjamin Gutierrez.
So
and
he's
Team
going to
Nightmare
get the
Claus.
bye.
You know what? Scratch that. Maybe Papi Chulo. I'll see him again in the playoffs.
Papi Chulos.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I was thinking. I think the Papi Chulos have basically won the North, unless Sacto puts together a pretty. It's a feasible streak. He can win out and then still take the division, but he does have what I would call some trap games left on his schedule. So it's not a foregone conclusion that he's going to just come back and win. Not to mention he's playing the Papi Chulos this week, and the matchup is closer than most people think. So in my mind, the North is already won, and that's the Papi Chulos. Now, when I say the South is integral, I look at that South and I look at the best record there and see it's only 5-5, and I just don't envision it finishing at more than 7 wins. So it's very possible.
That's your opinion?
Well, yeah. Ariel Mayoko think the South is going to send the number 4 seed with the worst record in the playoffs
Supposed
at the
worst
top
record.
4, which means that number 3 will play number 6, number 4 will play number 5.
So the Papi Chulos would play the number 6 seed.
Right.
So they would play. Who
This
does
is
it look like they're going to play?
this is too early, I think, to tell this. I mean, we don't know yet.
It's either
but
going to be TDs or the other wild card. Maybe Bear Island?
Benji, he pretty much inferred that he thinks teams some big ass TDs are good enough, even with the remaining schedule that they have, to still get one of the wild cards. And I think he's right. I think on his schedule he has Las Vegas. Unfortunately, I think that's a little too much to overcome. I think he plays Team Nightmare Claus. It's a division game, but I also think that's too much to overcome with Ezekiel Elliott being gone. But he plays Karma Baby, and I think at this point, Karma Baby's team has unfortunately just been set back so much that it's almost a guaranteed win. So I'm seeing some big-ass TDs as the number 5 seed.
Ariel, is Karma Baby and TDs related?
Yeah, they're brothers, actually.
They're brothers.
Oh,
okay.
That's the Rodriguez Bowl.
Oh, okay.
Come on, man, do your homework.
Okay.
It's the Rodriguez Bowl.
I just have a conspiracy theory, and I don't want.
We're gonna pass on that.
No, I don't. No, I don't want it to go too out. But what if Team Karma Baby just lets TDs win? Is there a situation like that?
Can I say my input?
Yeah, of course. Our guest, Julian Ruvalcaba, would you like to make a...
I don't know how to understand Big Ass T is being even a factor right now. Do you guys not see who they have? Ezekiel was the team. He's gone. D. Hopkins is probably he's good, but Watson's gone. Look at what happened to me. Fuller's gone as well.
Ouch.
And then we have some names we never heard of, like.
Is this your way? Is this your way of saying that Karma Baby can win?
I don't understand why we're talking about either of them. Karma Baby is sorry too.
Because at the end of the season, it's a
what?
playoff implication.
Well, does this mean that you think that you're going to take a spot either way?
I am.
Okay, well then this is exactly what I'm getting at. This is why I say the playoff race is going to look a lot more obvious 1 week from now, because right now the Bear Island Wildlings technically are capable of making the playoffs as a number 6 seed.
Do you think so?
Hey, they beating Reyes.
I mean, it's feasible. Straight Grizz has just as good a shot, I think, as any team of making the playoffs as the number 6 seed, as long as like a Bear Island Wildlings loses and a Shuzang loses. I mean, this is why we need to see one more week, but I think what's guaranteed...
Every week is critical, right?
Every week right now is critical. And it just so happens that some of the matchups from last season at this time are coming back up again.
Mm-hmm.
So for Gotham, I guess what I really wanted to ask and kind of get into your mind was, what does it feel like finally being in position where you control your destiny again, and where you're in a race against a couple of the same teams that you were in last year? I mean, is it different? Do you feel like your team is much better this year? Do you feel more confident and equipped to make a deep playoff push this year as opposed to last? What's different this year?
This year, I think I have a really good, strong running back, Todd Gurley, who last year was sorry, but this year, I think he is the number 1 running back right now. And then wide receivers, I mean, just doing my work. Robbie Anderson, who would have ever thought? Even Rashad Matthews looking at people drop him. I was like, that's a steal right there.
So you have a waiver wire team, basically.
Not necessarily, but when your wide receivers are dropping like flies and people don't want to trade you, you do what you can. And that's exactly what I did. And that's why I am in the potential to be in the playoffs and most likely win the South.
You're going to win the South?
I think so. I mean, do you see who's my competition?
What do you think of Las Vegas matchup this week and his remaining schedule?
Yes.
I'm making the assumption that Team Reyes does not have the artillery to compete overall for the remainder of this week, even with his great output from Antonio Brown. But the remaining 2 matchups, how do you feel going into next week against Las Vegas, knowing that you're only 1 game behind? Do you feel the pressure? And where's your head at with that? And then also the matchup with Nightmare Clothes. I know Benjamin's here. I don't want to stir anything.
You don't want to start nothing?
It's just...
Do we have security in case something breaks out?
No, these guys are they're family, right?
Supposedly.
They're civil, but I mean...
So, Las Vegas, I really, like I said, I don't see him as a threat. I mean...
After he beat you?
He beat me by a couple of points. If it was a blowout, then I would be like, damn, I'm scared. But I'm not. I wouldn't be so confident of taking over the South. I just really see a running back team. No aerial threat or anything like that. I mean, Russell Wilson really is very inconsistent. I honestly think Big Ass TD has a chance. I mean, his number running back, 18 points. I'll be mad. It's hard Gurley gets on his worst days. Team Big Ass TD has DeAndre Hopkins and Devontae Adams. I know I might be contradicting myself, but I'm probably just praying that Big Ass TD wins.
You do realize if Las Vegas wins this game and he loses the next 2, it looks like he's probably going to go to the playoffs.
Well, he plays against me.
Because he would be 6, and then your top record. How many wins can Gotham get? 6 wins if he wins out.
Gotham,
or he can get 7. Huh?
Gotham is guaranteed a playoff spot as long as he has.
If he gets to 6 wins.
As long as he gets to 6 wins, right?
He gets a playoff spot.
which isn't, like I said, the matchup this week is Team Reyes, and then Las Vegas and Nightmare Claws, right? Like, the matchup with Nightmare Claws is actually, in my opinion, closer than the matchup with Las Vegas. But on paper, I can see where he can give Las Vegas troubles. It's very easy. And when I look at their first matchup way early in the season, I look at a team.
Make sure you look at my bench too.
I look at a team that featured a Cam Newton that was flailing, and he has a much better suitable quarterback now. I look at a team that underperformed at the wide receiver position, and now it looks like he's shored that up enough to be able to handle the wide receivers that are featured on Las Vegas team. The question really is going to come, how consistent is Kareem Hunt going to be at the end of this year right now at the stretch? Because if Kareem Hunt continues, yeah, it's been 7 weeks, I believe, since Kareem Hunt's last touchdown. He still gets 15 points. His floor is still pretty high. But if Todd Gurley, who has good matchups, I believe, the next 3 weeks, continues to put double digits up, and Amir Abdullah can offer something, then I think that there is an in for him to get the 2 wins. So,
not if he loses to Team Reyes this week.
Right. I mean, but Team Reyes also plays Las Vegas. I mean, if Team Reyes is going to upset Gotham this week, that sounds like a team that's capable of upsetting Las Vegas when they play in Week 13. This is why I'm so fascinated with the South, because no matter what, it's possible that both teams make the playoffs, but it's also possible that Las Vegas, one of the most talented teams, doesn't make the playoffs at all.
If Team Reyes were to win.
If Team Reyes, who is the ultimate wild card in the league right now, with arguably the most talented wide receiver and the most talented tight end and the most talented defense and ever increasing quarterback, he's literally going into games with no backfield, no running backs.
Who are his running backs?
Hold on, can I get his opinion? Because this is just like, I feel like you guys are like really feeling sorry for him. What do you think about Team Reyes winning the South? And honestly,
he has slight chance. His team.
He's been.
It's gonna be a tough matchup. He has Tony Brown, and it's gonna be a close game. And
I feel like he's being really kind, and he just doesn't want to get to the inevitable,
he has a slight chance to win the South.
Look, if you're telling me right now that you think that Team Reyes is going to win the South, I'm just going to say I don't think that's going to happen. But if you're telling me that you think he can sneak a win against either Gotham or Las Vegas in one of the last 3 weeks, I'm not shocked by that. This guy has almost won on multiple occasions. He's got some losses by under 5 points, I believe, this year. I mean, so clearly he's got the ammunition to at least swing a game one way or the other. It's just, I don't see it happening. I think the arms race is between Las Vegas and Gotham. And
I think Gotham's got it.
I mean, it's exciting, to say the least.
You know what? I want to get away from football a little bit. Last week I made a comment about Gotham. I know we go way back. I told everybody about how you sent that kid to Africa because you didn't want to support him. Did you ever bring him back?
what?
So he's still in Africa?
What's going on?
The kid's still in Africa.
So we're moving on. So
there you go.
This
guys.
one's for Nightmare Claus.
He's still sent.
I need a shot, please.
So okay, no, hold on. Basically, what happened is Gotham sent a kid to Africa because he didn't want to support him.
You failed at this joke last week.
No,
Okay,
it's not a joke.
You are not going to talk about
It's
me
a
like I
true
am not
story.
here.
It's a true story.
I'm literally
It's a
right
true
here.
story.
What happened?
You sent a kid to Africa because it's cheaper to support him. So, I just want to know, did you bring him back or not? Or you just forgot about him? It seems like you just forgot about him.
Y'all got security here, right?
So this guy sent a kid to Africa and he
So
left
Ben,
him there.
I gotta ask you.
You're
Because
a horrible person,
I,
Gotham.
I gotta ask
Horrible
you.
person.
I gotta ask you.
I would have brought him back. At least send him a goat.
You are easily
Doesn't go.
one of the most. It's so funny, but you're easily one of the most controversial owners, coaches, general managers in the league, and simultaneously one of the most kind-hearted and unassuming dudes I've ever met. Like, I've interacted with you for 2 years now, and I feel like you're just a regular dude like I can talk to at like a coffee shop or something and just like have a cool conversation with, and just you're just like a really good personality. But I gotta ask, like, you have this knack for creating just an incredible amount of vitriol from your league peers, and I honestly don't understand it. But I guess I just gotta get like your feelings on this. How does it feel to be kind of, I don't, envied or just reveled or just downright despised for essentially nothing, really?
No, like to my trades and nothing, and I try to look for a better, just a suitable player that will fit my team, and I found that person. But last year, I did pretty good. I didn't do that good, but this year, 8-2, that's a good record. This year I looked little shirts, I looked everything, and I drafted pretty good, and look where I'm at now, 8-2, and I'm feeling pretty good. But people they just overlook me. But I'm sure that I'm the real deal, and I'm coming for that.
Yes.
The Lombardi.
I
Yeah.
have a question.
I mean, I don't want to interrupt you, but I just
You just interrupted him.
I gotta
Hold on, I don't
follow
wanna
up.
interrupt
I mean, like, it seems like you're conceding that most of this controversy is coming with how you manage and broker deals, trading and stuff. I guess I gotta defend you in this. I'm a firm believer that a great team is capable of being great in all facets. That means putting players on the field, making sure that their players are good, that they have on the field. Drafting, that means in the front office, scouting, and this facet that owners and franchises seem to overlook, managing teams during the season and knowing when it's time to shoot on a deal and get a player and make a trade. And you've seen that, you've noticed that, and you've done it, and it's worked to positive effect both years now. You went to the playoffs as essentially a team that was an expansion team. No one gave you any kind of clout the first year. Your debut, you were the number.
I gave him a chance.
5.
I've always believed him.
I believe Tim didn't even know who you were the first time.
I knew who he was.
And this year, you're now on the cusp of winning your division and the number 2 team in the entire league, a favorite to go to the Super Bowl. So I just, on behalf of all the people who are watching, like, I think you're doing good.
Oh yeah,
You're doing good. So, yeah. To Gotham, I guess I have the same question. I guess I want to get into your mind with the trade.
Do you want to pick his brain?
For Jordy Nelson, Cam Newton. Was that just basically a swap for players that you both felt were not quite meeting their expectations? Was that like a mutual, just like a, maybe Cam Newton will do better on his team, maybe Jordy Nelson will do better on my team?
It's more to gain like ammunition. I'm trying to get players where I'm not that strong in. I can't rely on Gurley all the time, but I know a lot of people hear names and they want him. Jordy Nelson can only do so bad for so long. Eventually, they're going to find a strategy that's going to work for them. Right now, Devontae Adams seems to be the main receiver, but eventually they're going to start double covering him. And Jordy Nelson, of course, is going to work his magic and become the Jordy Nelson he was when he first started the season. So, Cam Newton wasn't a big loss to me. Yeah, he got 43 points.
Well, you have Matthew Stafford on your
But I have Matthew Stafford,
roster.
someone who's consistent, and that's what I'm all about, is consistency. And that's what I'm trying to be this season.
Fair enough.
Anyways, I have a question for Ben. How does it feel to win, I think, 4 weekly pods now? Is that crazy?
That feels pretty good.
It is 4 weekly.
How much? How
Four
much?
league
How
awards.
much money is that? Is it $20
I
per pod?
believe the commissioner for this league, who is
A douche.
Mitchell Goodell. No, he is a
Stand-up
very
guy.
kind and generous
He's a
man.
stand-up
The one that
guy.
got fired?
No.
That was
Mitchell
Mitchell.
Goodell.
That was Mitchell Rios.
Oh no,
Oh.
no, that was Bear Island coach.
Different-
He resigned. They have both
Oh,
are
he
Mitchell.
resigned.
Yeah, both are Mitchell.
Mitchell Goodell.
Um,
Mitchell.
I get confused.
$80, I believe now, thus far.
Wow. One more and he wins his entry
Yeah,
fee back.
the entry
basically.
fee. It's
nice.
it's pretty.
And he still might go to the playoffs and win more.
Yeah, I mean,
That's cool. Cool story, bro. Cool story.
I have a question for you, Mr. Team Bear Island. So how'd you feel when somebody said he's going to trade with somebody and fuck up his team?
that was my next question. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, my question, that was my.
That's for you. Nobody said that to me. Or at least they tried, but they sugarcoated it.
Can we remind everyone of the trade? What was the trade exactly? What did he trade away?
No, somebody just put a comment in because somebody said,
This was
Julius Payne said that, is anybody forgetting about Nightmare Clause? A couple people put question marks.
I seen this. This was a media scrum. This was Sebastian Perez of FTP Luck.
FTP,
He didn't have
The guy
the
sucks.
kindest words
He's a
for
fake,
Team Nightmare
guys.
Clause. I mean,
It's clear nobody likes FTP Love.
yeah, we've covered this, right? Like Nightmare Clause. He's. I mean, what is there to speak on?
Well, letting him speak on it.
Just gotta say, I'm coming, and you'll see me out there in the finals.
I gotta know right now. Even with our guest here, do you see the Super Bowl? You and FTP Luck?
Yes, that's what I see. That's a bright future of me winning.
That's confidence. I like
That's
confidence.
confidence.
That's confidence. That's more than I can say for Peter Marino of the Las Vegas.
But the trade with I did with the Bear Wildlings. You know, I did my research and all that, and yes, I traded Carson Wentz. But look, I got Dak Prescott. I still have him, but he's still doing good, but not that much. But he's still a good quarterback. But Deshaun Jackson I got rid of, and Mama Sanu. I got Keenan Allen from the trade, and Juju. They do pretty good, so I'm not worried about that. So all I gotta say is, you'll see me.
It's confidence.
What do you? I notice you have a lot of Rams players. Are you a Rams fan?
Yes.
He's wearing a Rams hat, guys.
Oh yeah, I guess that didn't clue you. What was it? 28 minutes ago when we started this, and he put his hat on
I thought he was
specifically
just
for this
rooting.
interview.
I thought he was just rooting for for Greg Zerline.
Is that why you start Cooper Cup?
Because he's been doing good.
It's Cooper Cup, guys.
He averages like 18 points, but he's doing not that good, but he's in points.
Cooper Cup has been coached up pretty good in a Team Nightmare Clause franchise. I have another question for Gotham about the upcoming matchup with
The Rays.
Las Vegas.
Oh, with Las Vegas.
Just because I want to look at the matchups again, and I guess this might be too intimate of a question, but
Oh, what are you gonna ask?
Mm-hmm.
we have the trade deadlines coming up. I think everybody is eyeing that date and time really closely. as I've before mentioned, the South is a battleground that is going to be the deciding,
for a lot of playoff teams.
For a lot of the playoff berths.
Wild card berths.
Am I out of my bounds? I mean, am I out of realms to suggest that there's a massive trade on the realm for either franchise with me today? I mean, who do you envision playing in the playoffs?
If you get there.
Me?
What does the playoff bracket look like with Gotham in there?
So, if I go to the playoffs, I feel like FTP, of course, would have his bye. So would Team Nightmare Claws. Sack, though, I have no idea. That's not the same team from last year. Las Vegas, I'm going to take his spot.
Supposedly.
And I see me in there. I see Las Vegas is in all this game. I'm a big fan of Team Straight Grizz. I'm hoping they do make it.
Straight Grizz.
And hopefully me and Straight Grizz, we do go the first round of the playoffs.
I have a follow-up question then.
Because those are my niggas.
I gotta say,
are they black?
Last year, you made a passionate uproar, and the commissioner heard it. The great Mitchell Goodell,
that asshole,
basically heard your plea, which was for a rule change. You missed a spot in the playoffs as the number 6 seed, having a 7-6 record, a winning record, basically on the basis that at the time Team Grizz the Great had more points than you in total for the regular season. But you won the regular season matchup with them.
Against him, yes. So I don't know if everybody felt sorry for him because he had like a whole bunch of people dying or getting injured, being in the hospital. I beat him. I
want to stress it was impressive what he did, but I personally agree that you were in the right when you made the assertion that there needs to be more clout put in who wins in actual matchups before the points. Not to say that the scoring isn't a necessary tiebreaker after the fact to break a matchup split, but it matters who wins when teams go head to head. And I thought that was a good rule change. Pushing forward, it looks like you guys are on the horizon to meet again and in the playoffs.
And this is what I hope we do, because then it kind of like go back to last year to where I was really, really, really upset that team made it. I honestly didn't know why. Like, yeah, I think they had like probably 60 more points than me, but I beat them. And I don't know if they had like this wannabe Cinderella story. I mean, I'm a fan of Joey Gutierrez, but I didn't understand why. Like 60 points over me, you did what you had to do. I hope you did. It paid off. Hopefully you do it again this year.
I don't think it's far-fetched. I think you two have a good shot of meeting each other. And
I hope we do, because I'm a big fan of Straight Grizz. And Straight Grizz, I'm going to do you a favor by taking on Las Vegas next week.
Julian, is it true that last year when you missed the playoffs, you cried for like 2 days?
Maybe for a day, but not
for
2.
For a day. Is it true you broke your phone?
When I lost that feel like I did.
You broke your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Like you grabbed it really hard.
That was televised. It was televised. It was televised.
So you're very passionate.
I have to point something out. I hope this is not taken as a slight, but it's something that is recurring for your franchise, and that is that historically they've been a low-scoring offense. Last year you were in the bottom 3 in scoring. Right now, you're in the bottom 3 scoring.
I have good players, but unfortunately, I always have a tough schedule, and we do what we can. If people have a tough schedule like me, then they can't score like I do.
You're not worried about the remaining matchups?
Just one person. One team, sorry. I already mentioned that.
Now that we're talking about rule changes, what do you think about having the same divisions next year? Would you like to be in a division with Las Vegas and Reyes next season, or would you like it to switch up?
That's good. I want to hear both of your guys' thoughts on this.
Me, I like being in a division where it's very competitive. I mean, in this division, sorry, but I just feel like it's just me and Las Vegas going at it.
Even though Reyes can still win.
I don't see that happening.
Even if you might lose to Reyes this week.
I don't see that happening either. But like I said, yeah.
If you lose to Reyes, will you cry?
No. I don't see that happening. Anyways, I don't know. I just feel like I need to be like somewhere where FTP luck is, because I'll give people a run for their money. Look at Las Vegas; they're praying every night.
What about you, Benjamin? Are you in favor or against swapping divisions yearly? Because I think that's on the plate for the league vote when they do the annual forum. That's been put on the table, swapping of divisions.
I'm not for whatever. I'm not for the challenge. But I have to be in the division with FTP Luck and Papi Chulo. I'll be division to watch.
Let's just say that we know we're varsity and we deserve to be on varsity league. You have your varsity JV. Varsity is plainly FTP Luck. Raise Papi Chulo.
I had a conversation
and
with
Team Outright College. JV is the rest.
With Mitchell Rios.
Oh, Straight Grizz is in between, but we're working on. Like I said, I'm a fan of Straight Grizz.
And I don't think he'll mind me saying this, because he's expressed this exactly about this topic, and he said that he hopes, this is Mitchell Rios of the Bear Island Wildlings, the owner, that they do a recurring swapping of divisions, because he wants a chance to get into a division like the South, because he feels like if he was in the South, it would be a foregone conclusion that he would be in the playoffs. And the way it is set up this year, because of where he's at in the North and how good the Papi Chulos were unexpectedly this year, not to mention the fact that how the East is looking still, it looks like he doesn't have a shot. But his argument was, if we keep switching teams or divisions every year, there's always a chance that a talented team lands into an easier seeded division and they just walk into the playoffs. And I guess that's what he wants. I'm thinking.
Hold on, I just got a text message from Las Vegas. Let me read it to you guys. He says he prefers to be in a division with Straight Grizz and Team Reyes so he can make the playoffs. That's just what he said.
And you see, I don't like that when people try to take easy way outs. I mean, I feel like he's arguing because he's having to run for his money. People don't like praying every day like the way he is right now. Like I said, you have your varsity and your JV. Unfortunately, there's a varsity person on his team.
The JV person goes to the playoffs, though. So it doesn't really matter how you get there as long as you get there, right? Or no?
I'm sorry, what was that?
It doesn't really matter how you get to the playoffs as long as you get there. I mean, that's the goal, right?
The JV team never beats the varsity.
But the goal is to get to the playoffs.
They might look good. They might be sending people here and there. But at the end of the day, know your place. Your JV.
Who, me? I'm a reporter.
Stop talking about Las Vegas.
I'm a reporter.
Weren't you reading a text message?
Yeah. Oh, you want me to tell him that? All right, hold on.
Do what you got.
I mean,
hold on.
Straight Grizz, I'll put you in varsity.
Team, I have a question for Benjamin. Right now, if we look at the standings and total points, Nightmare Claws are at 1,222, just behind FTP Luck. So essentially, less than just about 60 points. Do you envision winning the scoring title this year in 2017? Do you think that's a real possibility?
That's possible. I mean, I train my guys hard every day, and we put up points, and we'll see what happens. But possibility, yes, I see myself being at the top of scoring.
Confident.
I think he's going to win the scoring title, if we're being honest.
You think so?
I think that at the beginning of the year, it looked like Las Vegas was going to take the scoring title.
Put your hand down.
But I think...
This is my show.
But I think Kareem Hunt is kind of tapered off, and that really hurt the offensive
this is
prowess. Well, yeah.
I'm a fan of Nightmare Claws too, but I'm sorry, but LaShawn McCoy seems to be on the same page as Kareem Hunt. Would you agree or disagree?
Yes, I agree, but hey, he's working on it. He's trying to get better, so he'll get back up there.
The reason why I assert is because it seems like all of his points are coming from basically Kansas City players, and they're continuing to have favorable matchups. But that's not to say that the FTP Luck streak of just points in bunches will not continue.
Okay, guys, so looks like we've reached our final segment here. This week we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to have our guests give their input as well. The first match we're going to highlight this week is going to be Team Straight Grizz going up against FTP Luck. And let's start with Julian. What are your thoughts on this match? Can you give us your thoughts and the projection?
I'm a fan of Straight Grizz, but I'd be lying if I said you guys would win. I honestly think FTP Luck will probably get a weekly pot just because you have Fournette going against Cleveland and you have Ingram going against Washington. Those two are his big factors. And then not only that, you got Tom Brady going against Oakland and already Delaney Walker putting up 15 points. You guys, players have a tough matchup, and I'm sorry McCaffrey's out of bye, and that's what I think your team relies on. Again, FTP Luck, not only for the win, but for another weekly pot.
What's the score?
Another
pot too.
The score, to be honest, I see FTP Luck, another high scoring game, maybe 130. Straight Grizz, 87, 85.
All right, and Ariel, what do you think about this match?
I basically see it pretty much the exact same way. I have to point out that as of right now, Leonard Fournette is actually questionable. At the very least, there is a very real chance he doesn't play. Having said that, I don't think it matters very much. I think Tom Brady is going to have himself a game. I think Larry Fitzgerald is going to have a field day against Houston and their pass defense. I think that Adam Thielen and all across in Minnesota is going to be a downgrade. But if anybody's going to do well in Minnesota, I don't think it's going to be Stephon Diggs. I think it's going to be Thielen.
Is it Thielen or Thielen?
I'm pronouncing it Thielen, but I guess it can go either way. And when I look at Straight Grizz's matchups, I don't see who is going to do well this week. Kelvin Benjamin has a bad matchup against the number one cornerback in the Chargers. Kirk Cousins will probably be throwing the ball a lot this week, but he'll be having to throw against Marshawn Lattimore, who is probably the defensive rookie of the year in New Orleans. And the backfield is a mess in Straight Grizz's team right now. I have this 100 to 122 win by FTP Luck.
And Ben, what's your score projection for this match?
I'll say maybe 150, 90 FTP Luck.
Okay,
That
so
sounds like a weekly pot also.
so I'm not a fan of either team, but I'm gonna give this to Straight Grizz out of good faith. I think we're cool. I'm gonna say Straight Grizz wins this 130 to 80 points. Okay, so the next match we're gonna cover is gonna be the Sacktown Violators versus Team Razor Papi Chulos. Team Nightmare Claws, what are your thoughts on this match?
It's pretty tough. I see, the wide receivers equal. Mike Evans going off. Maybe possibly Command is not really doing good at defense. And AJ Green, they're going against Denver. Denver's defense struggling and they don't know what to do. So I'll say Mike Evans and AJ Green go off. But I say Papi Chulo, he wins because Andy Dalton will find a way to get over that Denver defense.
All right, and Julian, what do you think about this matchup?
I'm gonna have to agree with Nightmare Claws. I feel like New Orleans Saints, that's a running back team. Drew Brees ain't gonna do anything. Andy Dalton will pick the hole in Denver like everybody else is. Bobby Chulos, probably 115. At sack, though, the team that's not like last year, probably like at 90.
All right, and Ariel, give us your feedback on this match.
I'm gonna go the opposite. I'm gonna go with Sacto Violators in here, but I agree with both of them. I think this is gonna be really, really, really close. Most division games are. They're both right. I think Mike Evans has a suspiciously good matchup. Keep in mind, Mike Evans is getting the ball thrown from Ryan Fitzpatrick, though. I think that's an immediate downgrade right away. But Sterling Shepard is obviously the only guy who can catch the ball, but he's going against Kansas City. It's tricky. Kansas City gives up a lot of points to wide receivers and tight ends right now. I also don't like the matchup that he has, Duke Johnson going against Jacksonville, but I think what he's going for in the backfield right now are PPR type running backs, guys who can catch the ball, not necessarily rush. And Chris Thompson and Duke are probably going to get all their points from that. I think Drew Brees is going to have a big game in Washington, even with Josh Norman being back, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think Zach Ertz is going to have a huge game. What I see the problem being with the Papi Chulos is that I don't think even with Devonta Freeman out that Tevin Coleman is going to do particularly great against the Seattle Seahawks run defense. And I'm not buying that Andy Dalton is any more better than he has been the last 6 weeks, even against a flailing Denver Broncos defense. So I'm going to project this a win for Sacto Violators, 112-105.
Okay, so I think the Violators are going to violate the Papi Chulos.
That was a terrible
Maybe because it's their fault, because they have Papi Chulo in their name. Violators going to violate them. I think this is a good game for the Sacto Violators. I'm looking at their matchup. Mike Evans is back. The angry Mike Evans after suspension. You got Sterling Shepard, the number 2 receiving threat, and Chris Thompson, Drew Brees. I have this going. I have a shootout. I'm gonna say
shootout.
85-84.
That's a shootout.
That's a shootout for these guys.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're split 2-2.
So speaking of violators, we have the Las Vegas WME IMG. Perhaps going to violate those big-ass TDs.
That is disgusting.
That's what he does best, supposedly. Anyways,
supposedly. I don't know.
That's what you don't know what he does on the weekends. Doesn't just watch college football all weekend, okay? Anyways, Nightmare Claus. Julian, what do you think about this matchup and your rival in the South?
I'm going to try not to be biased as possible. I'm going to give it a fair, equal amount. I don't like either quarterback against their opponents, but for some reason I have more faith in Casey Keenum. So there's that. Let's see. Let me pick at this a little bit. I do see Las Vegas with Kareem Hunt having a big game, but then they do have Denver's defense, who is probably going to put them back at the negative, take some points away. Then we have D. Hopkins, we have Adams. Hopefully Team Big Ass CDs changes their tight end or finds out the waiver wire, but I still see more potential in Team Big Ass CDs. I feel like Keenum's going to have another good game using Thielen and Stephon Diggs as his weapons against the Rams, even though the Rams do have a good defense. But I feel like right there with the Rams and Vikings, they're fighting for who wants it more. And I have more faith in Keenum than Russell Wilson. So, very good game. I do see it as a high-scoring game, 123 to like 135. Team Big-Ass CDs having probably the best game with all their players going off, especially because D. Hopkins has a good matchup. So Team Big-Ass CDs do me the favor.
All right, Nightmare Claus, just briefly give us your thoughts on this matchup.
Let's see. Las Vegas, ready to be him. But we'll see. I see Keenum doing
barely won.
Please don't interrupt our guest.
But Case Keenum, he going against the Rams, my Rams defense. He might struggle a little bit, but the Rams, I see the Rams doing pretty good. Might be stopping him, but But I do see maybe a close one with Vegas winning at maybe 115 to 100.
All right, interesting. Ariel, give us your thoughts and insights on this match.
I think this is a lot closer than even my colleague Tim would like to admit. And I don't necessarily think that this is a shoo-in victory for Las Vegas. But I'm going to take Las Vegas this week on the basis of what I suspect to be a strong game from Russell Wilson against Atlanta Falcons. I think he's going to have a good week. I think Doug Baldwin has a good matchup, and by virtue, that means Russell Wilson will have good points and yardage in passing against the Atlanta Falcons' pass defense, even with Trufant in there. Le'Veon Bell's already gotten what I projected, 18 points in what was a quiet game, but still double digits.
He was robbed of a touchdown.
Possibly. Kareem Hunt looks to get a touchdown again for the first in 7 games against a New York Giants defense that is non-existent. And I think Demaryius Thomas has a suspiciously good matchup. Golden Tate might have a tricky matchup, but I think the key is Jordan Howard. I think he has with Mitchell Trubisky being too risky for the Chicago Bears, essentially Jordan Howard is the whole offense, and I think that's going to be enough to put him over the top. My only reservation with some big-ass TDs is whether or not he's starting Derek Carr, because there's rumors that he's not, and I don't see why he wouldn't start, even against New England Patriots. Having said that, when I look at his lineup, DeAndre Hopkins will still get a downgrade against Arizona. And I just don't see where his points are going to come from. I don't think McKinnon is particularly got a good matchup against the Rams' run defense. I don't think Lamar Miller has a particularly good matchup against the Cardinals' run defense. And I don't think that Jared Cook is going to get much targets against the New England Patriots necessarily.
In Mexico.
I'm projecting Las Vegas with a win, 122 to 106.
Okay, hold on. So I just got a text from Las Vegas. He let me just read it out. He basically wanted me to say and to relate to Nightmare Claus and Gotham, but he's not scared of either of you, and that you guys are scorched earth. So after all that propaganda for Las Vegas, totally not biased.
Definitely.
Our next
propaganda is the right word.
Well, the Tribune is sponsored by Las Vegas.
Yes, that makes sense.
Our next matchup, we have a very interesting one. It includes one of our guests. We have Team Nightmare Claus going up against Team Karma Baby. Ben, go ahead and give us your thoughts and projections on this matchup.
It's a tough one.
Says the favorite.
He is in my division. I know I won the first game. I see Terry Kill going off this week, and Travis Kelce, and Dak Prescott. He'll bounce back up from last weekend. He'll score maybe 20, 30 points. But we'll see what happens in McCoy. We've been working on his run game, and yeah, we progress, so we'll see what happens, and hopefully he does good. But I'm pretty sure he will. And Doug Martin, he's been struggling, but Miami defense, they've been struggling too, so I see Doug Martin doing pretty good. But let's see, I have me winning, myself winning again. Maybe
sweet
confidence.
130 to 110.
All right, Gotham, go ahead and just give us your brief thoughts on this matchup, your potential playoff opponents here.
Karma Baby, not a fan. Matt Ryan might go off with you because you don't have Sherman guiding Julio Jones, so hopefully Matt Ryan does go off. But I'm sorry, I see Nightmare Claus easily taking this game with Tyreek Hill and Kelsey going against the Giants. I see Nightmare Claws at 118, at Karma Baby at 92.
All right, and Ariel, I know you've been a huge fan of Nightmare Claws. Try to give us your best, unbiased opinion about this game. If you can, please.
Well, he's right. It's probably close, a little bit closer than people think. Division games, so division games are always interesting. But when I look at the week, I don't really see any standout matchups for Karma Baby other than Michael Crabtree in New England. I think the Patriots' leaky pass defense is going to allow either Amari Cooper or Michael Crabtree to get a lot of PPR points. And history has shown us that that's more likely to be Michael Crabtree than Amari Cooper. So I think that that's going to be where Karma Baby has his biggest standout. I also think Richard Sherman's absence is going to be felt pretty heavily for the Seattle Seahawks defense, even if Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas both return to the lineup. Having said that, I don't particularly think that Marshawn Lynch has a favorable matchup this week in Mexico. I'm not sure Danny Woodhead is actually starting this week, but he might be in Karma Baby's lineup, and I don't think he should be. I don't think that's a smart move.
There's two other running backs in there.
Additionally, Alshon Jeffrey right now is looking questionable with the ankle injury, I believe. So I'm monitoring that, and we've seen DeMarco Murray this past Thursday, and he disappointed in what should have been a pretty good matchup.
Last week he got like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
Something
well,
crazy.
There was a high. I'm projecting Karma Baby at 108. When I look at Nightmare Claws, I see Dak Prescott having, on paper, what is a difficult matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles pass defense. But I think that the volume is going to be there. I think it's going to be a passing game. I think he's going to get his points. I also think that the Los Angeles Chargers run defense is super suspect, and LaShawn McCoy is in for a bounce-back game. Doug Martin against Miami, I don't see where Doug Martin gets the bearings back, not with Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback and the game script being not in their favor. But Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, I think, are almost single-handedly going to win this week. I think against the Giants, if you have any Kansas City players, you just start them. So I have Nightmare Claws to win this week, 123 points, Karma Baby 108.
I'm not a big fan of either team. I think there's a lot of hype behind Nightmare Claws. I have this as a low-scoring game, potentially the lowest-scoring game of the season, Ariel. I don't think Karma Baby can put up any points. Nightmare Claws has put up a lot of points recently, but that's bound to end. I have this... It's a little controversial. I have this 56 to 50 Nightmare Claws.
What the hell kind of projection is that?
It's good.
Unbelievable.
So for our next matchup, we have one of our guests, Gotham, going up against Team Reyes. It's a big showdown in the South. I don't see this ending well for one team.
That's the title, the big showdown in the South. I like it.
I see someone's dreams getting crushed and someone's dreams getting made. Gotham, go ahead and just start us out. Give us your thoughts on this matchup and your projections.
First of all, my dreams are not going to get crushed. Reyes had no dreams
you're not
to
gonna
begin
cry.
with. Anyway, so I like to go back. Let me pick at Reyes' team for a bit. Tuner Brown did get 42 points, but his quarterback seems to be like the talk of the league.
A taco?
The talk of the league. But he's going against a good defense. I mean, he went against Houston, Giants, of course, who's not going to have a big game. Let's see what he does against Minnesota. Not too good. Running backs, there is none. AB, Gronkowski. If Gronkowski get him 40 points, he might give me a run for my money. Other than that, maybe Jacksonville.
He might do it.
Jacksonville defense, they seem to be putting up most of his numbers as well. If it's not AB or Gronk, it's Jacksonville's defense. Now let's go to my team. We got Stafford against Chicago. Stafford's going to do what he does best, gets TDs. Abdullah, he seems to be the number one running back now. He's getting more of the carries. He's even averaging touchdowns every game. TG, Todd Gurley, he's been through one of the toughest defense, and he still pulls out double digits. I see him having a big game because, like I was saying, Jared Goff is going to be scared to throw against the Minnesota, so they're going to be all run. Julio Jones, he might be questionable, but let me tell you, he was questionable last week, and he still got over 100 yards. Like I said earlier, no Richard Sherman. I see Julio Jones also having a good game with a touchdown. Second, Witten might struggle a little bit for me, but I got Philadelphia's defense, who I see stopping Prescott, who looked kind of scary in last game. So I see myself winning.
Of course.
Not of course, I explained why.
Mr. Bias.
By 120 to probably a close game. Reyes, he did good for once. Probably 114 to 120.
All right, Nightmare Claus, can you give us just a brief projections on this matchup?
I got.
Predicting an upset, maybe?
I predict the upset. Ray is winning. Ray is. He's winning 120 to 105.
Nice. Ariel, try to take it. Look at this matchup. Don't be biased. Just give us your honest opinion.
First and foremost, super excited by this match. Easily the most fun match of the week, and probably the most important.
Get this man a beer, man.
But I want people to realize that I have clout in my picks, and history has mostly been on my side. I have a pretty good record, definitely better than my co-host, although that might not be saying much. But
wow,
I'm gonna go with the upset. I think Team Reyes is gonna do it, and I think it's gonna be by very thin margins. I think that this matchup is very close on both sides. But when I look at Gotham's team, there is nothing that stands out as problematic, really. He's good all across. I think Todd Gurley has a great matchup just for what he said. Minnesota is going to be taking away the pass of the Rams, and Todd Gurley is going to be able to take advantage. I think Matthew Stafford is going to be throwing against Chicago, and even though Chicago has a suspiciously good pass defense, I think Matthew Stafford is very consistent and has enough weapons to be able to put up his projected 17.
Is that how you feel?
Absolutely. I think Julio Jones not being shadowed by Richard Sherman is going to be a massive plus for him. I expect him to have a pretty good game. We've seen Rashard Matthews do good this past Thursday. Jason Witten might be the most viable offensive player on the Cowboys against the Philadelphia's pass defense. This one's the tricky one. Jamal Williams going against Baltimore. With basically the Packers not having any other running backs, Jamal Williams is going to be able to take basically all the snaps. So the opportunity is there to score. I think Jamal Williams is actually a pretty good matchup this week. So I'm projecting Gotham at 117. Here's where things get a little bit dicey. Antonio Brown, we've seen his week Thursday game. That's a huge plus right there. I don't think Jared Goff is going to necessarily have a bad game or a great game. It's just going to be a fairly average game, but he'll get his points. I suspect Theo Riddick to be a part of a Detroit offense that is desperately trying to move the ball down the field, and Theo Riddick will be a big part of that. Jamison Crowder should show up, finally, in a game that basically might be the Washington Redskins throwing from behind. Jamison Crowder probably is going to be a benefactor. Rob Gronkowski against Oakland. This is hugely beneficial. I expect Rob Gronkowski to have a massive game, and I think that's what's going to put him over the top. And Marvin Jones against Chicago again. I think a lot of this rides on Matthew Stafford. I'm taking Reyes, though, with the win, the upset, 131 to 117.
Okay, so we at the Tribune don't like either of these teams. They're both trash. I'm sorry to have to say that in front of you,
I don't condone
Gotham.
that.
But
Hey, look here across the table.
the South is in jeopardy here. Las Vegas needs a win by Team Reyes. Of course, we're going to take Team Reyes. This is the guy that won a game without a quarterback, without Aaron Rodgers. We see this playing out. You know what? Kind of controversial. I see all the Reyes' points coming from Brown, Jacksonville D, and Gronkowski. He's probably going to get 80 points there. I don't see him scoring any more points. 0 across the board. I have him winning 80 to about 65.
Wow.
So like we do every week, we save the last projection. It's usually the best matchup, the best one we think is the most exciting, and it means the most. I know some people here don't feel like this matchup matters a lot, but you know what, Gotham? Go ahead and just give us your thoughts. What do you think about this matchup? And do you think it should hold this significance?
No, it shouldn't. It should just be a regular game. Game of the week was already talked about. Anyways, as much as we could give Bear Island credit for coming back, I guess. They're doing a little thing. As much as I want somebody to like just end their
little
streak.
thing. That's what she said.
I'm pretty sure they said that to them, to the GM. As much as I want Bear Island to just stop talking,
confirm that, Arrow?
I still don't think Shutdown has the players to. They have Carson Wentz. Does good against any team. Melvin Gordon, he's going to Buffalo. And Kamara against Washington. That right there. It's enough to say, as bad as I want Shutdown to win, I can't be biased. I see Wildings winning, unfortunately, at 116 to Shutdown. Probably at 93. I mean, you got Peterson in the lineup. You got, who else? I think that's still Ingram and 2 tight ends, Ingram and Graham. I don't know. I can't elaborate anymore on his team. I wish he would do better and pay attention.
All right, Nightmare Claus, just give us a brief description of what you think is going to go down this week between the game of the week.
Game of the week. It's gonna be a close one, but I see. I'm gonna go for an upset here. Team Shutdown beating Bear Island Wildlings. Team Shutdown with 110 and Bear Island 95.
How? Oh.
95. Okay, so now we've reached the beat writer here. Tell us a little bit more of why you chose this as game of the week, and give us your thoughts on the matchup.
I think this is America's game of the week. I have to defend myself against
why
Julian's assertion that this is a meaningless game. This is actually this is actually a very, very important game as far as the
for
plight.
the league or for one team.
No. Both.
You heard
Team Shutdown is capable of still claiming the number 6 seed, and I think that his team is a bad matchup for the number 3 and 4 teams in the playoffs, if we're presuming that they go as we said in the beginning of the podcast. And I'm also arguing that Bear Island Wildlings have an even harder matchup for those same teams if they make it into the playoffs. And it all starts this week. Every week is important.
Every week is a big week for Bear
This
Island.
specific game, I think, is probably the biggest game of the season for both of these teams. Having said all that, I agree with Benjamin Gutierrez, who's saying it's going to be close. It is going to be close. It's going to be really, really close. Spoiler alert, I think Bear Island Wildlings get the victory.
Is that really a spoiler?
This is a close matchup. I think so.
I'm sorry, I think it is.
Eli Manning is going against Kansas City. That isn't particularly the greatest matchup, but I think they're going to be forced to be throwing the ball from the get-go against Kansas City. And Eli will get his points off of the strength of Evan Ingram and possibly Sterling Shepard. I don't like Adrian Peterson's matchup. I think the backfield and shutdown is going to be a huge letdown and a massive liability. Both Adrian Peterson and, presuming he starts, Javoris Allen, Buck Allen from Baltimore. Having said that, Brandon Cooks and Michael Thomas have massive matchups this week, plus matchups. Additionally, Evan Ingram, as aforementioned, has a great matchup against Kansas City, who gives up the most points to tight ends over the last 6 weeks. Jimmy Graham in Atlanta should be a huge matchup. I'm projecting Team Shutdown at 107. Now, Maryland Wildlings are able to clinch this victory off of the strength of the phenom Carson Wentz, their newly acquired quarterback of the last 2 weeks. Melvin Gordon and Alvin Kamara have huge plus matchups. Doug Baldwin and Vernon Davis, who is now the starter for Washington Redskins, is a plus matchup. And Jay Ajayi, who finds himself in higher spirits and seemingly capable of being a running back one that he was supposed to be earlier in the year, I think is going to be what sets this team over the top.
He is sharing the backfield, though, right, with 2 other guys?
As far as I'm concerned,
I think just forget it.
Jay Ajayi is going to get most of the snaps, and he is the better running back by archetype, and just everything about him is better than everybody on that roster. I have Maryland Wildlings to win 115-107.
Okay, that's your opinion.
I know.
Ariel, we've discussed this in length. Maryland Wildlings needs to win this. He needs to win out to have a chance to go to the playoffs. This is a big match for him. Unfortunately, I think this is where it ends for Bear Island Wildlings. You know what? Nah, he's probably going to win it. Whatever. I don't really care. These teams don't really deserve much of a highlight. I have Bear Islands winning this 110 to 95.
I think
that was the most realistic prediction you gave. I think it was mine. Did I just say that?
It's the most meaningless one. Yeah.
That too, but you have somebody trying to make a comeback that is not going to happen.
Anyways, this is my
clearly,
show.
Clearly,
my
Tim,
show, guys.
Tim has
show.
no real
show.
analytical skills.
You know what?
So we can just.
I don't really care what people say about me. I know I'm a pretty unpopular guy, but I don't really care.
Since high school.
Me and Ariel, we go way back. I was more popular than him, obviously.
That's not saying much.
I had like 5 friends. He had 2. I have 100 Facebook friends. He doesn't have a Facebook, but he would probably have 10. So,
he considers them real friends.
So we both have no friends, but I'm still more popular than him. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, I don't know how that mattered, but
I'll be your friend, but you made my friend mad.
No, we don't need friends.
All right, we've reached the end of the show. I want to thank our guests, Benjamin Gutierrez of Team Nightmare Claws, Julian Ruvakava of Gotham Suicide Squad. Thank you very much for taking your time to come out and do this podcast. It means a lot to the Gridiron Beat. Tim, anything you say?
Yeah, I understand you guys were here pretty late. Because of my work schedule, I get out pretty late. I get out at 11:30. But I'm glad you guys are here. Hopefully we schedule you guys back soon. We're going to try to get more guests. If we don't get more guests, then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think next week we're looking at a special edition with possibly Matthew Rios of the Sackville Violators next week. So
after he finishes violating.
Yeah. After he finishes violating.
He violates really good, I guess.
All right. Thank you all. It's been a great episode.
Do you have anything lined up? Articles this week?
I don't.
You don't? That's just what we talk about what we're going to do.
I don't think I have anything left. I haven't been working on a piece. I'll probably do a piece next week.
Like a Thanksgiving thing or what?
No, it'll be a piece on the playoff scenarios. In fact, I think next episode we'll spend more time going over playoff scenarios. But
can you make sure you put a picture of me where have my good side?
Your good side.
Showing the South and and then Gris too, because we're gonna take it.
And Gris, it's possible.
Thank you.
Maybe.
This week, the Tribune's not going to write an article. We're doing research. We're up to a conspiracy theory. We think that Mitchell Goodell, Julius Payne, and Mitchell Rios may be the same person. We're going to dive in and take a look at that closer. That's going to be our special edition article next week. So we're going to do our research, see where that goes.
Okay, I don't know how to go. I don't know how to pivot off of that. So, thank you. Good night.
You're welcome.
Bonsoir.
Good night, America.